We've got spinning heads, smoking necks, zombie brides, and we've even got musical crotches.
Nice fucking model!
Hi guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing the 1988 masterpiece, Tim Burton's Beetlejuice. Oh my God, this is one of the greatest movies ever made. This is one I constantly go back to. It's one I've introduced to my daughter. She loves it as well.
Yeah.
And it's just probably one of the most easiest watches in the world. It's such a comfort movie.
Yeah.
And it's easily one of the best comedy horrors ever made. Right,
Oh,
gents?
yeah. I've seen it years. I've seen it since it came out. I didn't see it in the cinema. I was a little bit too young. I think I was about 9. My parents watched it before me. They saw it in the cinema. And I tell you what, right? The biggest thing about this, putting aside Beetlejuice, the originality, there is no other film like it.
Oh my God, I know.
Because I write stories, okay, and I couldn't write a story this outrageous in my wildest dreams, to have just about the afterlife and having this bio-exorcist called Beetlejuice where they hire to get rid of the family and to create a character that wacky, and he lives in the model, their model of the town. It is bonkers, I gotta say.
But you know what's great about it? It absolutely flips it on its head, because usually when you get a haunting movie, the humans are the good guys and the ghosts are the bad guys. Well, in this, we fall in love with the ghosts, we follow them, and the humans that move into the house are haunting their house.
Yes.
It's such a great flip on the genre.
Yeah, and the basic premise is you got Barb and Adam, played by Alec Baldwin and Gena Davis. They're the perfect couple. They can't have children for whatever reason, or they don't really go into it, but she's always wanted kids, and they die in this freak accident, and they come home and they realize they're dead, and they're stuck in the house. They can't leave because every time they leave, there's these weird sandworms. And they have like some kind of time dilation where if you go out for a little bit, hours pass. And this horrible family move in, and they just want to get rid of the family. It's a simple premise, but it's bonkers, you know?
It is. And I love talking about like the opening of the movie, when it introduces us to Ad and Barb, probably the most lovable couple in the world.
Too perfect.
Almost insufferable.
Yeah.
And then
you're glad they're dead. I'll teach you to be so nice, you bastard.
Their death, before the script got changed a lot, their death was going to be a lot more gruesome.
Oh, really?
Now, this movie originally wasn't supposed to be as funny as it was. And the two original writers, they did butt heads a lot, because one of them wanted it a bit more comedic and the other one wanted to go a bit more horror. And I was reading some scenes that were cut out of the original script. And when they crash on that bridge, a stick goes through Barb's arm and she's like dying in agony because she's been impaled by a stick. Like,
yeah. Well, I think
what a change.
I think why it works better at this is because as a viewer, if you don't know the plot of the movie, you don't even know they're dead until they know they're dead.
Yes, of course.
You know,
definitely works better.
You just assume that they survive because they come home really wet, and then the mystery they start realizing something's off. I will tell you, like, that when they finally go open the doorway and they go into the afterlife, and then they're in the waiting room and you see all these sort of dead characters, which is so iconic. I wonder, like,
snake guy and
and I do wonder, like, how come they're not like untouched? They're untouched. All the rest are rotten, and they got.
So, I can actually answer that one, right? So,
go on then.
Everyone you see in the afterlife represent how they died.
Yeah.
And obviously, Adam and Barb drown, and Tim Burton didn't care about continuity. He literally said, I did not want them to be uncomfortable the whole shoot by keeping them wet.
Yes. That makes sense. I suppose, so because she wasn't impaled or anything like that, you could just say, look, They were wet, they
Yeah,
dried,
who cares?
whatever.
Yeah,
But when they go into that afterlife, and I don't remember the name of the woman, even though I only watched the other day, the caseworker, the old lady with a
yeah. The
smoking neck.
smoke coming out of her
We
neck,
don't
like.
even realize it for a while. I think, oh my god, her neck is smoking. And but you know when they find they open the doorway and you've got the exercise souls,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
death for the dead. That old caretaker says that's when it becomes like this is horrible. This afterlife is
Yeah.
terrible, and that thought of being in limbo and some sort of like a ghoul. I know it sets it up for later in the movie for what's about potentially to happen to them, but that's probably the darkest moment in the film. Do you reckon?
Um, it is a dark moment, but it has to be. We're skipping to the end of it, but
Yeah,
if we're
well,
talking about
yeah, we'll talk
the
about the end later. I think.
yeah, but if we're talking about the darkest moments, it's when Otho brings Adam and Barb back in their wedding dresses and they
Yes,
start to
yes,
rot.
yeah, yeah. You're right.
That
Probably that is quite
that's
dark.
when that's when the film gets serious and horrible because it is quite light-hearted throughout. There's some dark themes in there, but that's definitely the
Yeah.
worst scene in the
Um,
movie. Like,
we've been talking for 6 minutes, so we haven't mentioned the best thing about this film, Beetlejuice. That character, like I
oh
said,
my
I
god,
couldn't create a character that amazing in my wildest dreams. Now, I'm pretty sure, whatever they wrote for Beetlejuice, obviously Michael Keaton had to bring that character to life through just his
oh more
performance, and he must have added stuff. It's got to be.
more so than everything. Michael Keaton ad-libbed 90% of his lines.
Really.
So 90% of his lines he came up with himself, and he also basically came up with a design for
Ah, this,
Beetlejuice. He came up with the idea for the shocked hair, the moss, the teeth, everything. They had a base of what they wanted for Beetlejuice, and when Michael Keaton came on board, he brought everything.
yeah.
Like Beetlejuice is Michael Keaton, and Tim Burton originally wanted Sammy Davis Jr., and the studio were like, no chance. And then they wanted Bill Murray, and thankfully, Bill Murray would have been great, but
Yes.
thankfully, Michael Keaton came on board, and
Yeah.
that guy
I could
is in
almost,
this film.
I can
Yeah,
almost imagine Bill Murray to a
yeah,
certain degree. Yeah.
definitely.
Sorry, carry on.
Um, Beetlejuice is in this movie for 17 minutes. You can almost class him as just a side character who
Yeah.
pops up in the film,
Yeah.
but his presence is all over this movie.
Yeah.
Every time I rewatch it, I forget how little he's in it because his scenes are so bloody memorable that you just forget that he's in the film for 17 minutes. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
but that's good though because it's a testament to the rest of the film because it's
Oh,
not just like, oh,
absolutely.
come on, Beetlejuice, where is he? Because you are enjoying all the beats,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and it's a what I like less is more with Beetlejuice, and I think you might have mentioned that he's only in there for the same length of time in the second one coming up, like 17 minutes.
Yes,
You
yeah.
said, isn't it?
Around that, yeah, that was when Michael Keaton and Tim Burton first spoke. He was like, "Look, if we're going to do this, we're not going to overdo it," and that's what I
Yeah,
was worried about because
yeah,
they
me too.
battered him in the trailer, and I thought, "Oh my god, they're going to take away what was great about the first one and just give
Yeah.
us an hour of Beetlejuice."
And because I felt the same with Anchorman. Now, Anchorman 1, okay, has got Steve Carell as Brick, okay, and he's only in it small. He has a few lines that are very
Yeah,
memorable. And at the time, Steve Carell wasn't very fit. Well, he was up and coming, and Will Ferrell was the big star. Fast forward to Anchorman 2, Steve Carell was the big star, and
big
they
star. Yeah,
upped Brick's lines and dialogues and scenes, and it
it doesn't
didn't
work.
work, and it spoilt the film. And I'm
Yeah,
so glad that Michael Keaton's smart enough to sort of say, no, no, let's not milk it. It's too good. It's a
yes,
waste.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And we want to talk about Catherine O'Hara as well.
I
We're not
love
going to
this.
talk about her partner.
No,
Um,
not Jeffrey Jones. No. It's a shame
Charles, we're
because
not
he's
going
a
to talk
good,
about Charles.
no, he's a good
But
character as well.
yeah, I know. Otho, Delia, and Lydia,
Yes.
they're so good in this film. When they come into it, they carry the movie. And that scene when they're around the table and obviously the Banana Boat song comes on.
Yeah, yeah.
Deo.
Oh, so
Such an
iconic.
iconic scene. I know. And
Yeah.
the studio wanted to cut that out of the film, and it ended up becoming the most iconic scene in the
Yeah.
movie.
Fucking
But
studios.
I know. But I love that family. Lydia, I'm
Yeah.
so glad she's back as well. Obviously, you've got I've got blank.
Jenna Ortega. Is there?
No. Jenna Taylor plays it.
Winona
Winona
Ryder.
Ryder.
Yeah,
Winona, I'm so glad Winona Ryder's back on board
she's
because
in Stranger Things, isn't she? I try to do my
that's the
impression.
woman from Stranger
I try
Things.
to do my impression of Ryan George from Pitch Meetings. Then
Yeah.
bad one.
Yeah, I'm glad she's back. I'm glad Catherine O'Hara is back. Unfortunately, Otho has passed.
Was
But
he?
I
Oh,
do, yes. I do love though that they basically bury Charles in this movie.
yes,
Like it starts, he's dead, he's out
yeah.
of the film.
And it works well, I suppose, to drive the plot up. It's a funeral, keeping it dark, and you've got a chance for Lydia then to be dressed in black and a daughter.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
I- yeah,
The
carry on.
main
Sorry.
thing I'll say about this film, it's got one of the best arcs and it's one of the best films I've seen to follow a story because every part of the story is entertaining and
Yeah,
it's like a movie in itself. So you've got the opening, it builds up Adam and Barb as this great couple, and then it's them like traversing this afterlife and trying to come to terms with dying. And then the middle part, you've got this great classic haunting of them trying to scare
yeah,
everyone out of this house. And then obviously they unleash Beetlejuice and all hell breaks loose. And that's when the film gets absolutely off the rails. And
yes,
the whole arc of this movie is just perfect. I'd say
yeah,
my favorite part of the movie is the middle bit. You know,
yes,
when Adam and Barb are trying to scare the deets out of the house. Barb's holding Adam's head chopped
yeah.
off. The
Um,
the face, the faces they do are just amazing.
what I would say, what I noticed the other day watching it is the pacing. It
Yes,
is
yeah,
there's no wasted space. It's only for like an hour and a half, and I really, really miss 90-minute movies.
yes,
I think there's
definitely.
so many films that are bloated these days. They have like two third acts, and it's on and on and on. And I know years ago is different because film costs a lot of money. Now it's digital, so they can go a bit longer. But 90 minutes was perfect, and I wish
Oh,
they
it's
would
it's
go
perfect, man,
back
and
to
this
it.
I know it's a rarity now you get a good 90-minute film, but it
Yeah,
is the ideal runtime. I'm enjoying hour-long films as well. We've had a couple of
yeah,
good horror films
yeah,
that are an hour long. It's nice to just jump in and jump out sometimes.
yeah. With Beetlejuice, you forget. So when it comes to the end of the movie, you don't realize Beetlejuice doesn't have that iconic suit, the white and black stripes, until the end.
Yeah, I
You,
know, I
you
know.
imagine in your head he wears it all the way through the film because that's so
Yeah,
iconic, and the end is so good. The horrible marriage. He's trying to get married to Lydia.
yeah,
And it's just like you said, all hell breaks loose. It's a great finale. It's very dark when the zombie brides and they are like kind of death for the dead. They're almost going to be exorcised. It's a
yeah.
great ending, I gotta say.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It's a honestly, from start to finish, Tim Burton just created an absolute masterpiece. It's by far his greatest achievement,
yeah,
and I'd put it way above any of his movies. I'd say Edward Scissorhands is in
yes,
second place for me, but oh my god, like Tim Burton did something very special with this movie, and I know 100% of people who watch this movie will agree with us that Beetlejuice is just a timeless classic that will never
yeah.
get old.
And I love the fact that I don't know if it's just an anecdote or something, but when he was making Beetlejuice, he knew Batman was his next movie, and he just saw something in Michael Keaton. He thought, "You're Batman. You've got the perfect voice. You got the perfect mouth. You were Batman." And the uproar, as you know, was like, "How can you make
Yeah,
Michael
of
Keaton
course.
Batman?" And I'll just tell you a quick thing. Um, when I watched, because I was young, when I watched Batman in '89, I know that scene when he goes, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts."
Yeah, that's right, son. Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, he's Beetlejuice." It's the first time I knew
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
was so young. I was like, "That's Beetlejuice," and that is it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you didn't have the internet back then. You didn't know things, isn't
It's
it?
it's crazy that you say that now, right? Because my daughter's really into Batman at the moment, and she's just watched Tim Burton's Batman 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and she knows Michael Keaton, and she knows Michael Keaton plays Beetlejuice. But that scene, she went, "Oh my god, that's,"
Oh,
she went, "He sounded like Beetlejuice then,
yeah,
exact same."
yeah.
Yeah,
It's great. I had the
amazing.
same reaction.
Yeah.
Right. Putting aside, obviously, Beetlejuice, your favorite character. What is your favorite character? Can't say Beetlejuice. Jeffrey Jones.
Um, do you know what? It's got to be Lydia. I've always loved Lydia. the little
Uh,
goth that she is. It's either
I
Lydia or Arthur. Arthur's great.
It's for me, it's Delia. I love Catherine O'Hara. I think, and
Yeah,
that's how she
yeah,
got the part in Home Alone because the director, the producer, just loved her in this film. She's
yeah,
so good in Schitt's Creek. Very similar sort of character. It's like
yeah.
I don't know, like
Well, Tim Burton like begged her for this. Like he was like, I need you in this film. He
yeah,
turned so many people down, and he eventually wore her down because 90% of people who wrote the script went, our careers are doomed if we do this film.
yeah.
And um, Alec Baldwin still to this day doesn't like the film and he hates his performance.
He's so
I'm
unre
sure he's happy for the money he got in it, but he doesn't like his performance and he hates the
Yeah,
film.
probably wish he was back in time making this film again.
Yeah.
I also he's quite unrecognizable. You almost forget it's Alec Baldwin in this film,
Oh,
isn't it?
always. Always. Very handsome in this film.
Before we wrap it up, what's your favorite scene or line or moment?
Oh, it's got to be. I don't know the full dialogue that Beetlejuice does, but the scene I've always loved in this movie is when Adam and Barb go into the small town, or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it's
the model
called,
village.
the model village, man, to meet Beetlejuice, and
Yeah,
he gives that line about going to Juilliard. I've seen The Exorcist a few times, and it still
yeah,
makes me laugh every single
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of the Harvard Business School. I travel quite extensively. I lived through the Black Plague, and I had a pretty good time during that. I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it.
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
just love that scene. And it's obviously the first time you get properly introduced to Michael Keaton's character. It's got to be my favourite scene.
Yeah, well, my favorite scene and line is not far off there, and we use it at the start. It's nice fucking model. That to
Yeah,
me as a
yeah.
kid, I couldn't stop repeating that in my head. It's so fucking cool. I can't wait for number two.
Yes.
There's had decent reviews, a lot of 3 stars, a few 4 stars. I'm not scared of a 3 stars. People
No,
just
no,
think
no.
it's probably going to be entertaining, probably not as good as this one, but worth a watch, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all booked to see it at 10:30 on Saturday. Get it in early.
Yeah, we'll review it.
Yes,
Right, guys,
definitely.
if you love horror reviews, rankings, please subscribe and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.